All right. Music Posse, thank you for getting us warmed up. And of course, getting my co-host back into the live stream conversation. Greg, before I bring you into the studio here, let me bring up this visual. I know you love it. I know you appreciate this. Why? Because I know this is what you spend your time with when you're not busy selling real estate, and that is paddling through the waters. So, Greg, got to ask the question, with all of this rain that we've been getting, these waterways that you probably paddle through, they've got to be great for you right now, right?
You know, you would think that, and I like when you said, paddling through the waters, but I don't paddle. I just steer because I'm always going down the river. I always want a relaxing time, not a workout. I just go down the river. So I drove by the river. I haven't been kayaking for, I don't know, a week or two. Okay. And with all the rain that we've had, it looks like it's very dangerous to get out there in the water. Really? I saw some of the landings where you get in at, and they had them sectioned off with tape. Do not enter. Uh-oh. Yeah, they don't want you to go in there. It's too dangerous.
So maybe too many fallen trees, branches, debris. Okay.
Yeah, and the current is very strong, so it's just going to crush you right into them.
All right.
Yeah, so I would say no. I would say it's a little bit dangerous right now.
All right, and like you reminded me and shared with our audience, no, I don't paddle. I let gravity do its thing.
Yeah, I just steer. That's all I do.
that's because Greg, while you're steering through the waterways, you've got your headset on trying to negotiate a deal for a seller or a buyer, right? That's why.
That's happened plenty of times. Yes. One time, I think I was telling you, we were maybe an hour away from getting out, okay, and a buyer had to see a home right away.
Yeah.
And I said, absolutely. I scheduled it. I'm like, we got to get back. And we were both just cruising down, me and my wife, just so we could get back so I can get home and get ready to show a home.
Right. Oh, that's a great story. We'll have to dig into that a little bit more, maybe in the next episode.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So, all of that said, Greg, why don't you lead us off with tonight's live stream? Share with us, drop for us, what's going on with the real estate market in near or around Bolingbrook.
Yeah, I'll give you some stats. So, taking a look at it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about July. We have the numbers for July, and we're in August, so we don't have those numbers until next month. But in July of this year, the average median sales price was $367,000.
Yeah.
Well, $367,000, and a year ago it was $350,000. So the sales price are going up. Right now, the market time, though, houses that are on the market take on average 35 days to sell, whereas last year it was 27 days to sell.
Okay.
So the time that it's taken to sell a home is going up. The month supply that we have, we're sitting right now at 1.4 months of inventory.
Okay.
Which is extremely low. but last year it was even lower at 1.1. So
Wow.
inventory is starting to build. Market time is starting to build, but prices are still going up. The price per square foot in July was $200, and last year it was 191. So the prices are still going up, but more inventory is coming on the market. The inventory is sitting longer, which is a good thing, but prices are still going up.
Yeah. So, audience members, with that, let me also drop this visual aid to share with you, I think, why Greg is saying that. Okay. This, by the way, I'm going to do the credit and the referencing once we start to move through this visual here. This is the largest U.S. metropolitan area seeing housing supply grow. When I saw this, Greg, and I'm sharing with all of you, I, of course, kept looking. Let me zoom in. Where is the Chicago metro market?
There
And
it
then
is.
boom, way at the bottom. Way at the bottom.
Yeah.
Right? So that now that we see it this way, that would make sense. That would make sense because supply is still very tight, right?
Right.
When isn't there that rule of thumb when the number of months of homes for sale is at this number, it's a balanced market. With what you just dropped, where it's like 1.2 or less, that clearly still is a seller's market.
Yeah, I would say, just off the top of my head, I would say that if we had 5 months of inventory, 5-6 months, it would probably be a balanced market.
Balanced market. So we got a ways to go.
We do. We do.
Why do you think it's taking, the extra 3 to 5 days to wrap up a transaction right
now? You mean to get it under contract?
Yeah, to get it under contract, to get it closed. Yeah.
Well, affordability is still the number one factor.
Yeah.
So interest rates are still high, and that's your fault because you're a mortgage guy.
I know.
But the prices keep going up, and that's my fault.
Yeah.
So the prices keep going up, and interest rates are still real high. I don't know. I hear so many people talking about if the rates come down, things are going to swing back around. But I don't know. You
don't buy into that theory, huh?
I'm just not so sure about that. Yeah. Because if the rates come down, 2%, let's say.
Yeah.
Maybe more people will put their house on the market. That's good.
True.
But then we got all these buyers that are going to be flooding in the market, and that's going to drive the prices up higher. So
right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Then it'll be, best and final by X time on a given day. We've been there before.
Yes.
Yeah. I hear you. All right. Let's now shift the conversation. After talking about current trends in the market update, Greg, let's shift the conversation to this. Because before we started our live stream, I asked you, I said, so hey, Greg, have you been busy kayaking? And you said, no, I've been busy buying real estate. Mm-hmm. That makes sense, right? And so with that, as the nice, attaboy for you in terms of what's been happening within the past several months, I thought this next part of our conversation would be very appropriate for you to chime in, to give your feedback, your expertise on it. And that is, Greg, what does it take right now to sell a property in 3 weeks or less? What are those secret ingredients?
Well, think of it like this. Anything that you have that you want to sell quick, if the price is right, you're going to get it. So, you could Google what is the number one mistake that a seller can make when selling their home. It's going to be overpricing their home.
Yeah.
So they have to get away from overpricing their home And even I would argue get away from pricing it at the value, because if the value is 200,000 based on your neighbor's sale, if you price it at 200,000, it's going to take just as long as it took them, which might have been a couple of weeks. But if you go under that by $1 and price it at 199, you're going to start getting in. All the eyeballs are going to be on your property. You're going to get all the buyers coming in on your property, and then they're going to start bidding it up to where it should sell, at 200 or above. So pricing out the home is very important. Of course, you want the product to be good, clean, health, safe, all those things. And that's the one thing that, we've been doing a lot of when we list homes is we make sure to get it professionally cleaned, clean the windows, clean the gutters, put new fire alarms in, new CO2 alarms in, all that kind of stuff. If carpet needs to be changed, you change it, paint it, but just shine it up as best as you can and then sell it. And that's going to help sell the house quicker.
Okay.
The pricing is going to be the main.
Pricing is the first important ingredient.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I would say that. So when I list a home, I do it a little bit strategically where I always list like on a Tuesday or a Wednesday.
Okay.
And the reason why is because it takes a few days to cycle through the MLS to get it pushed out to all the different networks and before eyeballs really start seeing it. Because, a buyer might not see it as soon as it comes out, but maybe the next day or two they will.
Yeah.
A lot of times we don't show the homes until the first open house.
Yeah.
A few days later.
Right.
So, but even before that, when I put it on the private network as a coming soon, I spent a lot of money to advertise the home, to get it out there to Facebook, Instagram, to start building in some leads.
Yeah.
So I'll have a bucket of leads of people that like the home earlier, then all the people on the MLS that have it in their search criteria that are waiting to get inside that can't.
Right.
They all flood in on the weekend. They come in, and then we have multiple offers. But you're not going to have multiple offers if the house is priced too high.
That's true. That's true. So this third ingredient, which is your strategy, your marketing, and timing strategy, it's that of creating the buzz and and creating that feeling of FOMO, fear of missing out.
Right.
All right. I buy that. Mm-hmm. So audience members, for those of you, and we're calling you out, those of you who may be thinking about selling your home, in case you were wondering, hey, what are those secret ingredients? Greg just dropped them right there for you. And the key, of course, is none of those ingredients get worked up without the right real estate broker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So stay tuned. Before we part ways, we will share with you a very simple next step for each of you watching, listening to tonight's live stream as to how you can get connected to the right real estate broker. So let's now shift the conversation, Greg, to what would you do, right? What would you, I'm going to play that game with you. What would you do, Greg, if you're representing a seller and you used all of your secret ingredients, light magic, and boom, within a couple of hours, it went under contract. You guys negotiated, not a whole lot of effort you had to do there to create the win for yourself, for you and your seller. And then now you and I both know what happens next, which is that due diligence, attorney inspection review, right?
Yeah.
What would you do when said buyer who got under contract with your seller so quickly, so nicely, is now seeming to play some games constantly asking for more time with the due diligence period, with attorney inspection review, what would you do as the broker representing that seller?
Well, I've had it happen plenty of times. Some of the times it's for legitimate reasons, where if they can't get a home inspection done because, whatever, they were out of town or their inspector was out of town and they didn't want to use anybody else. So that's happened.
Okay.
Usually the sellers and the attorneys are okay with extending it a couple of days, to help somebody out, but it really shouldn't go beyond that.
Yeah.
So you really need to get it taken care of. So if somebody uses the issue of the inspector's out of town, so I got to wait 2 weeks, no good. Find another inspector.
Yeah,
2 days, okay.
Okay.
Or if somebody got an inspection done and they're getting prices for some of the issues in the home that they're going to need to get fixed and they're waiting for the contractor, understandable, a day or two, maybe even 3.
Right.
But anything beyond that, my suggestion would be to really put the heat on them and possibly decline the offer and move on to the next one if you have another one. But, I don't work, like, I'm not an attorney, so I got to leave that conversation between the seller and the attorney. True. I can only offer what I've seen and advice, but that's a conversation that the attorney and the seller would have to have and make a decision on what to do.
True. Yeah. I like how you emphasize that, because as you and I know, we've talked about this before, the business of real estate, it's a team sport. For a couple of plays, you're quarterbacking the situation, but once you toss the ball, you're expecting your team member to catch it and then do what they were supposed to do.
Yeah. And I guess, from my experience being in real estate for 20 years, I've stepped on enough attorneys' toes where they've told me not to get involved with certain things. So it's like, all right, I know, it's not my business. You guys got to work it out. So
yeah. True that. All right. Let me throw another what would you do situation at you. And that is different seller. Okay. Different seller. You've mixed in all of your secret ingredients. The property is priced aggressively.
Yeah.
A lot of activity. Why? Because here's what happens. You and I both know this. There's a lot of requests from buyers brokers and their buyers to do the private touring of the property. Mm-hmm. And you and I also both know sometimes those requests are, they come and hit you with a short runway, right? We want to see it tonight or early tomorrow morning, whatever the story is, okay? And so my question to you is, what would you do when your seller, right, with all of this activity seems to be constantly saying, no, can't show it at that time. No, I'm not available, blah, blah, blah. What would you do?
And that's happened to me too, plenty of times.
Really?
Yeah. So one thing that I talk to sellers about when I list their home is, sorry, I was getting distracted there. One thing that I tell sellers when I list their homes is we need to try to be as accommodating as possible. Yeah. Because the reason why is buyers, like when I'm working as a buyer's agent, we have 10 homes set up to go look at on Saturday, and they're all numbered in a row on a map. Yeah. Right. So if there's a time that you don't find it convenient to show because you're doing something, that buyer is just going to skip over to your house and move on to the next one. And you probably lost him for good because he probably found a house that day and he's going to put an offer in. So it's very important to accommodate the buyers. However, there's also legitimate reasons for sellers. If they have a child that normally goes to bed at 7 o'clock, a 4-year-old, I respect that too. And so you have to put limits on. So when we schedule the MLS, we can black out certain times
Mm-hmm.
that showings are not available.
Right, right.
But if all of that is not going on and it's just the seller seeming to find it never convenient to show, and she's just hitting no, and that's happened to me too,
Okay.
then it's time to have a heart-to-heart with the sellers to find out, you know,
What's
do you
going
really
on?
want to sell your home, because, you know, you're making it very difficult to get a contract. You know what I
Right.
mean? So,
Right.
so sometimes a heart-to-heart with the sellers to find out really what's going on.
Yeah. The one thing I think I know about you is, as you just dropped this, the one thing I know about you is that you probably have these conversations with your sellers before that listing
Yeah.
is going live, because I know that you are a master of your craft, where you know you communicate openly, set expectations, and so forth.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. And you have to.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. So, audience members, as we wrap up tonight's live stream of Real Living in Bolingbrook, as I mentioned earlier, you heard, and you're taking away some of the secrets, right? Secret ingredients of how to get your home sold in 3 weeks. And the hey, what would Greg do? Now the moment of truth is, hey, none of that happens without the right real estate broker giving you that concierge service, guiding you through this journey, and getting you to that next chapter. So how can you engage Greg in a conversation for your next chapter? All you have to do is simply scan the QR codes that you see here. One for Greg, one for myself. Should you need financing, we will gladly help you with your journey of how to sell your home in 3 weeks or less and move you to that next chapter. So, wrapping up, Music Posse, let's play us out so that Greg can get back to the rest of his day, rest of his evening, and finish his DIY project that he was telling me about. Let's go.